Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, Ned1313 on Twitter. Welcome to the Daily Check-In for August 13th, 2020. It's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, or whatever you like to call Thursday. I do Thursdays on the edge. Dun-dun-dun-dun. So we're going to be talking about edge computing and a specific company that officially launched and got their website up this week. It's called Edgevana, and I'm going to dive into more details about what Edgevana is and what my thoughts are around it. It's a pretty interesting business model. In terms of housekeeping items, I don't really have anything. I've seen that my subscribers keep growing, and I really appreciate everyone who's watching and listening. Hey, if you didn't know, there is also a podcast as well as the daily video. So if you prefer this in an audio medium, you can find the podcast on your podcatcher of choice or just go to anchor.fm and search for me. Those are the ways that you can find and support the podcast slash daily live stream. I don't monetize this in any way. I'm not currently making any money off of it. I just like to share my ideas and build awareness, especially around technologies that I feel passionate about. So that's the deal. Sometimes it's nice to have a gentle reminder about why I'm doing this in the first place, because sometimes I forget. Anyway, that is my housekeeping items. Before we get into the topic at hand, I just want to check in with you. How you doing? How's Thursday? Did you make it through the week unscathed so far? I know there's 2 days left, but those can seem to fly by. And, really once you get over that hump of Wednesday, you kind of feel like it's maybe a little all downhill. I know that I had a very front-loaded week, and now things are tapering off a little bit. Today's a little more relaxed. I feel a little more relaxed, and hopefully tomorrow is more of the same, easing right into that weekend. So I hope you're doing well, and I hope that you have a similar trajectory as I do. Let's talk about Edgevana. Now, Edgevana was founded by Mark Thiele, and I'm going to try to pronounce this. His co-founder's name is Subhan Jaromi. So those are the two co-founders of this company. Now, what do they do? If we go to the main page, it's just Edgevana, Edgevana. They simply say that they are data center procurement evolved. And that I didn't really understand what that meant at first. So I had to dig through a bunch of pages and read like the press release, but then also read the About Us and some other stuff. Basically, what it is they're trying to help connect people who want data center space and services with data centers and services that could offer that. So to a certain degree, it's a marketplace. It's matchmaking, right? So why is this necessary? I think Mark is very deeply involved in Edge, and I assume his partner is as well. I'm not familiar with him, but I've talked to Mark before. In fact, when I was brought on to GigaOM to do analyst work, one of the areas they wanted me to really focus on was Edge technologies, which is kind of how Thursdays on the Edge started. And one of the first people they really wanted me to talk to was Mark Thiele. They said, if you want to know what's going on in Edge, you need to talk to Mark and kind of get his perspective on what's going on. So I had an hour-long conversation with Mark. And let me tell you, my brain was like a smoldering crater when I was done because I thought I knew a little bit about what was going on, and he just showed me how little I knew. So not that I was feeling all puffed up about things, but it's a humbling experience to talk to someone with that amount of insight and experience into what's going on. And he asked me a lot of questions that I didn't really know the answer to, and then told me a bunch of things and directions to go look in. So that was, amazing for him to take the time out of his busy schedule to help, a little analyst like me get, a grip on what's going on. It also meant that I spent the next 2 or 3 weeks just sort of running through my head all the things that he had mentioned and looking through my like 3 pages of notes from our conversation, trying to build a mental model of how the Edge works and what the opportunities are. So that's Mark. And that's why I feel a little bullish about this company and what they are looking to do. So he sees a need for compute capacity and colocation, well, not even colocation, but server availability in edge markets and existing data centers. He wants you to be able, you as an organization or an enterprise, to be able to consume data center resources in a seamless way. So the assumption here is you as an enterprise or a company are not going to build your own data centers, but you're going to want to consume data center space or data center services across the globe as you build out your edge application or whatever it might be. How are you going to do that? Well, you could set up a contract with each individual data center that you want to do work with, or you could find a handful of companies that have data centers sprinkled across the areas that you want. That's absolutely an option. I've done some reporting and research on some of the big providers out there. There's ones like Digital Realty, there's Equinix, there's CoreSite, there's all of these providers that are out there, but you're limited to the data centers that they have. And what else do you need besides a data center? You need networking and connectivity. You need someone who can provide hands-on services in all these locations. And it would be really nice if you could get that all through like a single bill and a single marketplace to go shopping. Here's where Edgevana is coming in fresh. They are basically working with all these different data center providers, and they are creating a marketplace for consumers to come and buy capacity from these data center providers. And Edgevana's going to take care of the relationship between those two and make it simpler for you as a company to just get this capacity. Now, why wouldn't you just use one of the big public cloud providers? Well, I mean, you could do that. That is an option. It's something that the public cloud providers are pushing. But while they have a lot of regions, don't get me wrong, they still have a limited number of regions. And while you can get like bare metal instances in their regions, if you truly want your own rack space and your own gear, then public cloud isn't really an option, especially if you're building like a massive service that you want availability across the entire globe. Here's a way to do it. Now, the question for any business really should be, how are you going to make money off of this venture? That's the question that I was wondering with Edgevana. How are they making money off of this? Because they don't own data centers and they don't own the customers. How are they going to charge for this? So it looks like, based off of my reading, they're not charging the customers anything for going to the marketplace. They're going to charge the providers a fee to be part of the marketplace, but only after they close their first deal. So if you're interested and you own data centers, you want to sort of offer this as a service, you could post within the marketplace, and I'm sure there's a process to do that. And then once you have your first sale, you'll start paying some sort of fee to Edgevana to be the broker between the two. There's probably a little bit more to that. Maybe once a contract is signed, Edgevana gets a small cut of it or something like that. But that's basically their model. The cost is on the providers giving you the capacity versus the cost being on the customers purchasing that capacity. I mean, they're going to pay the providers money, but they're not paying Edgevana directly. So that's the model as far as I can tell. What I really want to do is get Mark and the other founder on my podcast, Day 2 Cloud, and talk through what Edgevana is going to do, what their vision is for the future, and kind of what they think the total addressable market is for this particular venture, because I trust that Mark has some insight into why this is a viable business. So those are my thoughts for the day. Just, it came up yesterday that they did the launch of the website, which I'll include in the description. So definitely go check it out, kind of form your own thoughts around it. And I will let you know if I'm able to secure Mark on the podcast, my Day 2 Cloud podcast, to talk about this new launch and this new service. That does it for me today. Tomorrow will be all about HashiCorp Vault certification. We're going to keep working our way through those objectives. So if that's of interest,